Find your local Feeding America food bank at feedingamerica.org/hunger.
Together, we're feeding America.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
I was facing foreclosure. I was desperate for help.
I paid them $1,500 and never got the help they promised.
Don't let the fear of losing your home make you the victim of a loan modification scam. Remember these facts to protect yourself. It's illegal for most companies to charge fees in advance, no matter how small. No company can guarantee they can modify your loan or stop a foreclosure. And never send your mortgage payment to anyone but your lender. The easiest way to avoid a scam? Don't pay for a loan modification. Get free help from a HUD-approved counseling agency now. To learn more, report a scam, or find out if you've been a victim, call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit loanscamalert.org. That's 1-888-995-4673 and loanscamalert.org.
Know the signs. Get the facts.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Let's say you just bought a house. Bad news is, you're one step closer to becoming your parents. Soon you'll have a separate fridge in the basement, where extra groceries are exiled forever. Remember that frozen lasagna? Of course you don't. It's been down there since 2008. Good news is, it's easy to bundle home and auto through Progressive and save on your car insurance. Piece of cake. Behind the lasagna. It's very old. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
As soon as we're back out in our yard, yep, we get company.
Dandelions, lurking crabgrass, and wheat-thin grass. But Scott's Turf Builder Triple Action takes care of them all. Now, with one bag, you can kill weeds, prevent crabgrass for up to 4 months, and feed for greener grass. Triple Action, so your lawn thrives, guaranteed. Only from Scott's.
Weeds aren't welcome here.
This is a Scott's Yard. Pick up a bag of Scott's Triple Action today.
Tell your fan friends that you've switched to Pensacola's new ESPN. ESPN Pensacola 94.5. It's where you hear Chad Berlante's Sports Drive at 5, Coach K, and Sports Call with Jordan Glass and Davis Allen. Plus all of your ESPN national faves like Gullick and Wingo and Paul Feinbaum. And if you'd like to be an ESPN sponsor or one of our promotional partners, just give us a call at 262-6000. 262-6000.
All sports, all the time. ESPN Pensacola, 94.5 WYCT Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Pensacola 94.5, also on your HD radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT, and streaming on our website, ESPNpensacola.com. Welcome back into Talk Football with Coach K. Hope you had a great Easter weekend, got to spend some time with your family over the weekend. And again, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jordan Glass, joined alongside me as always, Coach K. And we've got a busy day on the show today. obviously getting started. If you want to be a part of today's show, you can call in at 850-972-1945, 850-972-1945. We're going to have Bill Polian coming up in just a little bit on the show. We've also got it's draft week, so we got some interesting news and interesting topics to talk about as far as the NFL draft goes, and we'll get it started talking about that. Looks like the Seattle Seahawks are still out looking for a possible trade for defensive end Frank Clark, and they said that they are going to be looking for packages, especially packages that include a first-round pick. So, Coach, you see Seattle the week of the draft still trying to push and get another pick inside that first round. Coach, first and foremost, why would you think Seattle is trying to get that extra pick? Is there a certain position maybe they're trying to go after that they want to, have that extra pick for? And then also, Coach, do you think that this is a viable trade that we could see happen before the draft gets kicked off on Thursday night?
I don't think that they're going to get a number one, but the reason they're looking for any draft picks right now is that they're draft picks short. They only have 4 picks in the whole draft. So they're going to have to, obviously, if they could get a 1, that would mean they could trade down, and get some more down in the 2nd or 3rd or 4th round. There's going to be a lot of gold to be mined in that 3rd and 4th round this year. It's very deep. The depth in this draft is excellent. So anything they could get, but I don't think they're going to get a 1. Might get a 2, but I don't think it's certainly not going to be a 1.
All right, Coach, some other NFL news. It looks like TJ Yeldon has found a new home. He's going to be playing for the Buffalo Bills after he signed a contract with them yesterday, as a matter of fact. It's when this deal became final. It looks like the Bills have been, very active in free agency. We've all seen it, whether it's been bringing in John Brown, Cole Beasley, Tyler Kroft. They brought in some offensive linemen in Mitch Morse and Spencer Long as well. But, Coach, you take a look at it. TJ Yeldon, definitely an impact running back that's going to be able to have a lot of impact on this Buffalo Bills offense.
Well, yeah, I think it's a good pickup for Buffalo, no doubt about that. For him, he needs to look very seriously, Jordan, at his pro career right now. Now, the reason that he's not at Jacksonville is because I think he shot his mouth off down there about something that he shouldn't have, and was not looked upon at that point as being a team player. Now, he better, and that's unusual coming out of Alabama with the discipline they get there, but he did, and now he's got to make amends for that. But this could turn out to be a good deal for him as well.
All right, Coach, wanted to get some audio here now because we've got obviously the situation going on right there at number 1. A lot of people taking a look and saying that Kyler Murray could be that top spot taken, or the top player taken in the draft going to Arizona. We've also heard reports as of last night that maybe Arizona might go a different route. They might go with a guy like Quinnen Williams or Bosa that really kind of fits one of their needs better and stick with Josh Rosen. Coach, this was what was said this morning on Get Up. Now, the question was posed, will Cliff Kingsbury's 7-year recruitment, because he was recruiting Kyler Murray very hard at Texas A&M and then obviously at Texas Tech, will his 7-year recruitment pay off? And, Coach, this is the audio that was from, again, this is Get Up on ESPN.
You sold that they're going to take Kyler Murray number 1.
I am, and I've never wavered off that. And here's my situation with the Greenie. If you're not taking Kyler Murray 1, why? Because we just learned yesterday Russell Wilson became the highest paid player in the NFL. And Jim Nagy, who's a longtime scout, he's at the Seahawks, told this story where he was with the Chiefs. And they sat in a room a couple days before the draft and said, what don't we like about Russell Wilson? And everyone said nothing but 3 inches. Is that the same case for the Cardinals and Kyler Murray? Like, what don't you like about Kyler Murray other than the 3 inches of his height? Because if that's the case, you have to learn from history. You better learn from history going all those teams that passed on Russell. I look back and go, look at last year. Imagine if the Browns didn't take Baker Mayfield 1. It would be a totally different narrative around this team. Kyler Murray is a special player, a 3-way player.
You hear there, Kyler Murray, yes, indeed, he is a special player. He is a guy that can have impact on the team. But, Coach, I think kind of looking at it, comparing him to Russell Wilson and saying that the size difference and maybe was the reason why Kansas City passed on Russell Wilson when he was in the draft could be a same thing that hurts Arizona if they were to pass on Kyler Murray. I don't think it's the same thing because, Coach, these are two different players. I don't think comparing Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray is, look, they're both quarterbacks. They're both talented athletes. They are very similar in size, yes, but we don't know just because we say, oh, they're the same size, they play the same position, they're both talented athletes, does not mean things are going to turn out the same way for Kyler Murray if the Arizona takes him at 1 that it has for Seattle taking Russell Wilson. So, Coach, I think right there you hear the explanation that's given as to why they should take him, and of course it's almost kind of it's funny actually because when we were coming into the combine, when we were coming into workouts, his size was a big question. Teams aren't going to take him because of his size. Now we have guys saying that teams should take him because of the size. We saw Russell Wilson, a small quarterback, he had success. I don't necessarily think that's the case here. And, Coach, we've gotten a lot of word over the past 24 hours to 48 hours that Arizona could actually be looking elsewhere and not Kyler Murray, and is starting to kind of build some momentum with that. But, Coach, I got to ask you, do you think we're now in draft week? We are just a few days away from the NFL draft. Are you still seeing Arizona taking Kyler Murray, or do you think they actually address one of the needs that they have?
Well, I've said this numerous times. It looks like the smoke indicates there's fire there. So it looks as though they're going to take Kyler Murray. Now, keep in mind that he has refused visits to a couple of other teams at this point, which indicates to me that he's off the board already, that he's already worked a deal, which you can do. If you have the number 1 pick and you've identified that pick, you can go ahead and start negotiating with him. So it indicates to me that they've reached a deal. Arizona and Kyler Murray have reached a deal, and he's going to be at Arizona. That's what it looks like on the surface. Now, you can never tell. There could be a snag in that some way, somehow. But I can't imagine not taking visits to other teams if you don't have something solid, signed at this point, because anything could happen, and you'd like to have all your options, every option available to you at draft time. So it just looks to me like he's done it there. If I look back, interestingly, I look back at an old mock draft from months ago, a couple of months ago, 2 or 3 months ago. And this is before the Kyler Murray, Kingsbury syndrome out there. They had Arizona with the first pick, going with the safest pick of the draft, Bosa. Now, things have changed. Again, to keep in mind, that was an old mock draft from maybe even before the college season was over last year. It may have been that far back. It was an old one. But they certainly had the top 4 people picked out going as the top 4, but they had Bosa going number 1 to Arizona.
All right, Coach, and as we continue to take a look at the draft here, again, just a few days before the draft gets started on Thursday night, you take a look at a guy like Quinnen Williams, Coach. Obviously, you take a look at it. Josh Allen and Nick Bosa are kind of ahead of him right now as far as the draft goes, but you've got a lot of other great, talented defensive linemen behind him. Montez Sweat, you got Jeffrey Simmons at Mississippi State, even though he's torn his ACL, still a very talented guy, and a guy that a lot of people say with Jeffrey Simmons that had he not torn his ACL in a workout, probably would be a top 10 guy and would be in that conversation with Quinnen Williams, with Montez Sweat, as far as being a top 10, maybe even a top 5 draft pick. Coach, when you look at Quinnen Williams, do you see any possible way that maybe he jumps up over past those guys like a Nick Bosa or like a Josh Allen and can go right there 2 or 3? You look at, I believe it's right there at number 3. That's the Oakland Raiders, I believe, with that pick. It's the New York Jets with that pick, running that 3-4 defense. Coach, could you see Quinnen Williams maybe jumping some people that we expect to be ahead of him and going right there to that 2 or 3 spot?
Absolutely. There's been talk about that. There's no doubt that he could be the second player taken in the draft, I think, very easily. It's between him, Bosa, Josh Allen, and the linebacker from LSU. It's going to be right in that neighborhood. Those people are going to be probably the top 4 players taken after Murray. But your question is certainly answered in the affirmative.
All right, Coach. And as we get closer, you take a look at some of the situations that are unfolding now with the draft. And draft week is upon us, and we're just again a few days away from it. Coach, when you take a look at it, do you expect to see any kind of major mix-up or major shake-ups between now and then, at least for the first round? We talked a little bit at the top of the show. Seattle could possibly be a team that's trying to trade back into the first round, get an extra first-round pick because, again, they are short on picks. But, Coach, do you see anything that's going to really, when we get that ESPN alert or when we see it in the papers or whatever, it's really going to kind of be a shock to us when we see it?
No, I think this draft is prime for quite a few moves. There are going to be some moves you can bet in that first round, primarily because the draft is so deep. People are going to want to trade back and pick up additional picks where there's still a lot of talent. That way they can, deal in quantity for their football team. So I think there are a number of trades that are going to happen, and I don't think anything is going to be a surprise at this point.
All right, Coach. The big news coming from Miami right now is not necessarily big news because I think a lot of people have speculated this for a while that they may actually wait till next year to take a quarterback. So, Coach, is there a scenario? You take a look at the board, and there are going to be some quarterbacks available when they get there with their pick in the first round. But, Coach, you take a look at the Miami Dolphins. Is there a possibility that they take a quarterback this year, or do they just stick maybe with Ryan Fitzpatrick? And I hate to use the phrase tank. I hate to say that they're going to tank and have a first-round pick next year. But, Coach, with a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick as their starting quarterback, you've got to expect Miami, with the talent that they have and new coaching staff, they would probably have a top 5 pick in next year's draft if they were to stick with Ryan Fitzpatrick. So, Coach, do you think they do that and they try to pull a top guy next year, or do you see a situation where they actually get a quarterback in this year's draft?
I've never known a team to, as you put it, tank, to even resemble taking losses because of actions that they did or did not take. So I can't imagine any team doing that. I can't imagine any team doing anything other than doing their best to win each and every ball game they play in. Now, this is not a bad situation. Keep in mind, not a bad situation for Miami to take a quarterback. And the reason why is they have Fitzpatrick there, who's an excellent teacher. Good guy to have around with a young quarterback. He is, they don't really have any expectation of going to the Super Bowl this year. So it's not like they're going to draft a quarterback where a 60-play player, a player that's going to come in and play 60 plays for him, could make the difference in going to the Super Bowl or not. That's not going to be the case. So if you have a quarterback that you like, why not go ahead and take him right now and let him play behind Fitzpatrick this year, learn a heck of a lot, play occasionally, and get ready to be your quarterback starting next year. You have your quarterback then. I think Miami's in a good position to do that, even though they have so many holes and so many needs, so many wants. This might be the year to do that. The other thing to keep in mind, there is a big, huge X factor out there over this whole draft. If all the quarterbacks this year were rated, and you put Rosen in there with him, he would be rated number 1. Okay, according to the numbers given on quarterbacks. Could Miami be sitting there looking at the possibility of getting Rosen? That may be another possibility. Now, Rosen is an X factor in this old draft, because he's going to push some people down,
right?
Some good players, or he's going to take a quarterback he's going to take a quarterback club out of the running in drafting one of these quarterbacks this year. So just keep that in mind.
All right, Coach, that is definitely an interesting point that, honestly, I and probably some of our listeners never really thought of, that Josh Rosen factor inside this year's draft. We'll take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll have Bill Polian with us right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Wings are now on Beef O'Brady's 2 for $20 deal. Wings?
Wings. Bigger bang, same buck. Pick a starter plus 2 entrees. Like 10 of Beef's famous wings, still $20. 2 for $20. Worth every penny.
Tower, this is Alpha Squad. Something smells mighty good up here. Who's hungry? Over.
Beef's 2 for $20. Pick a starter and 2 entrees. Like Beef's new chicken tender Parmesan skillet, still just $20.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Technology Truths, brought to you by Geico.
Technology Truths.
Truth, you think you can solve any problem by turning your computer off and on.
Hey man, is something wrong with your laptop?
Nah, just need to turn it off and on. It's no problem.
It's smoking.
Yeah, that just means it needs to reboot.
Truth, it's so easy to switch and save on car insurance at geico.com.
And now it's on fire.
Happens all the time. It's all good.
Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Don't drop the ball this football season. Make Tom Thumb your game day destination. We are your first round pick for snacks, chips, dips, and drinks. Are you tailgating before the game? Don't get blindsided. Head to Tom Thumb for all your supplies. Score big savings with our rewards card. You'll earn 4 fuel points for every $1 spent in store. From hot dogs and buns to ice and propane, Tom Thumb has you covered to help you enjoy the game. For the ultimate game day, team up with Tom Thumb, the local store for local champions.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also on your HD radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT, and streaming on our website, ESPNpensacola.com. Welcome back into Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. If you want to be a part of the show, call us on our studio line, 850-972-1945, 850-972-1945. And we're actually going to head to the phone lines now because, Coach, we are joined by a very special guest. And as we are just days away from the NFL draft, this is one of the best guests to have on our show. So, Coach, I'll turn it over to you with the introduction.
Yeah, gosh, we're very appreciative that Bill Polian, all of you know Bill, Hall of Famer, NFL Hall of Famer, and outstanding general manager at with the Buffalo Bills, 4 straight Super Bowls, Indianapolis Colts, Peyton Manning. What a great choice that was, and also the many other good choices there as well, Edgerrin James and so on. But then Carolina, and building that from scratch right away to a Super Bowl contender. He's just done an outstanding job, and most importantly, Bill's a good friend, and I just appreciated having him on, especially here as we're getting ready to go into this draft. He will give you quite a bit of information that you couldn't get anywhere else. So, Bill, we appreciate having you on.
Well, it's great to be with you, Kay. Happy Easter to you and yours and all your listeners.
Okay, Bill, we're going to start here. Just before we get to the draft, people also are associated with you with this AAF, and we covered the AAF here quite well, really, and positively. Thought the play was good. Obviously, it was extremely entertaining. There is a place in the spring for football, no doubt about that. Just unfortunate that it happened the way it did. But as you explained, I think on ESPN, that things like that happen. I mean, just the money just went away. It had nothing to do with the quality of play.
Oh no, it had nothing to do at all with the football. The coaches and the players and the administrators did a phenomenal job, and we were gaining momentum by the minute. For example, just about 4 days before our owner, Tom Dundon, pulled the plug, we were in a position where we were going to be the lead-in on CBS national network across America with our game, Johnny Manziel coming home to San Antonio to play the San Antonio Commanders, who were then in first place in the West. I probably would have had 40,000 or more at that game. So we were on an absolute upward trajectory. But, there's two parts to the game. The first is and most important part is the one on the field. But then the other is the business part of it, and that fell woefully short, and Mr. Dundon decided not to go forward, and so here we are. Thankfully, although it's not true of coaches and front office people and trainers and things like that, 50 of our players have been, and as we speak, with more due to sign any day, have been signed by the NFL. So you can see the quality of play was as it should have been, and as we expected it to be, very high quality football. It's just too bad. So as you say, there's a place for it. Vince McMahon will come along with the XFL. We'll see if he can make a go of it. That he's got plenty of money. I think the question for him will be how well it will go on the field, but we'll see.
Well, you're right, Bill, and I hate it, especially for the coaches and administrative people and trainers, like you say, but players, it was a heck of a shot, too, for them. A heck of a shot. That's amazing. You got about 50 signed. I'm sure there will be more after the draft that will be signed at NFL camps once the draft is over. Well, let's get into the draft.
Right. That's exactly right.
Let's get into the draft here, Bill. All the smoke. Everybody's talking about Arizona with the first pick, going with the Oklahoma quarterback, Kyler Murray. Do you see that being the case?
Well, you would think so. I mean, all the signs point to it. Cliff Kingsbury, the coach, actually coached Kyler, I believe, or recruited him at Texas A&M when he's an assistant there. They run the air raid offense, pure air raid, which has never been in the National Football League before, and I guess the Cardinals feel that that's the way to go. It's interesting in this sense that although the game is now a 53 1/3 yard wide game using every facet of the NFL field, opening it up as wide as it's ever been in its history. The question of whether or not you can play in the NFL with all of the superior athletes that are on defense, with a 5'10", 190-pound quarterback who makes at least 50% of his living with his legs, albeit the fact that he's a great passer. There's no question about his passing ability. But, can you run around and make plays with your legs in the National Football League for any length of time? You and I both have heard many times the old saw that there are no old running quarterbacks in the NFL because they don't last long enough to be old if they run. But it's interesting that if that's the case, if Arizona takes him and they go pure spread, you're going to see two teams doing it in a vastly different way than really has ever been done in the NFL before. And that would be Baltimore with what amounts to a wing T option offense with a quarterback who really is a below average passer. He may improve, but right now there's no question he's below average. And they're going to try to dominate with a running game and a running quarterback. And then if it happens in Arizona, they're going to try and play the same offense that Mike Leach plays at Washington State and that he played at Texas Tech. So we'll see if that works. It'll be interesting. It's certainly a leap into the unknown. You can call it a gamble, whatever you want to call it. It's a leap into the unknown. It's never been done before.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. We've chatted briefly about this before, and you're right with the one flag that they should take advantage of when they do risk assessment, and that is his size, and he does. He's going to use those legs now. That's just, you can't stop that. And then the other thing that you have to be aware of with this guy, Bill, from the standpoint of your draft, your football team as you make draft picks, and that is he has in his back pocket a Major League Baseball contract. He's the number one draft pick in the with Major League Baseball. If he doesn't like anything, anything about the clubhouse, the locker room, the coaches, or and anything else doesn't go to suit him, he could walk in at any time and say, "Hey, take this football and put it in the closet. I'm going to play baseball," and you've lost a draft pick. Not saying that would happen. Not saying there's a great chance it would happen, but I am saying it could happen that way.
Yeah, I think I don't think there's any question about that. I also think that there's something that hasn't really been talked about here that I'm anxious to see whether it comes about, because with the young man in Baltimore, and if wherever Murray ends up, if they choose to augment and implement the pure spread, you now have two quarterbacks who essentially make their living, in Baltimore's case, almost 70% of the time, and in Murray's case, perhaps 50 or more percent of the time, running. And that presents problems for the defense. But if you're a defensive coach, it also presents opportunity. And the opportunity is that now you're trying to knock him out of the game. And I'm not so sure that that's an approach that I like in modern football. I mean, there's no question that defensive coaches are going to tell their guys, "Hey, take every shot you can on this guy. Knock him out of the game if you can." It's not necessarily the idea of the game, but you don't have a choice if you're a defensive coach.
Well, I'm sure you're right. We've always felt that, and I think any coach would admit that it's not to intentionally hurt a quarterback, but we've always felt that you needed to let him know he was in a football game, that you're gonna. I guess some coaches use the as an analogy, you gotta bloody his nose a little. But anyway, you're right. This could take on a different approach. Let me move to Bill. We're talking about a good draft, a very good draft, deep draft. I understand there are some outstanding defensive football players in it, And when you look at those first 4 players from a rating standpoint, I get consistently, I get Bosa maybe being the safest pick in the draft. Quentin Williams out of Alabama. The linebacker Josh Allen out of Kentucky. Price, a linebacker out of LSU. Who are your top 4 people in the draft if you were going in right now?
Yeah, that would be my 4 as well. That's the irony. The top 4 guys in the draft are all people that are big and fast and can tackle and knock people around. And we're talking about the first guy in the draft potentially being a guy that has that's too short, too light, and as we said before, makes his living with his legs 50% of the time. It's somewhat ironic and certainly interesting. I would add a name to that, by the way, Montez Sweat from Mississippi State, also is a guy that is right up there. So you're talking about 5 guys, of 4 of whom Bosa, Allen, Sweat, and Quentin Williams rushed the passer. And to me, next to a guy who can throw touchdown passes and process and do all the things a quarterback has to do in the National Football League, the next most difficult guy to find is a natural, aggressive, explosive speed rusher, both inside and out. And that's what those 4 guys are. White is an excellent player, by the way. I'm not downgrading him one iota. He really is an excellent player. But, to have 4 guys at the top of the draft who can do what these guys do is really pretty rare. And, everybody's talking about, trading up for quarterbacks. Forget about it. I mean, if I were in one of those 4 slots or 5 slots where one of those guys is going to fall, I'd pick right there. I don't know that you can pass any of these guys necessarily.
Oh, I know. And Devin White, the big linebacker from LSU, you're right. He's got outstanding athletic ability and size, which is and the mental makeup that you want with he's aggressive as a linebacker.
Oh yeah, 3-6.
Let me throw a couple of things at you. This is going to be an unusual draft in many, many ways. I don't see this as being a great group of quarterbacks. I may be mistaken on that, but I think there's some good quarterbacks in here. But I'm going to, the quarterback that may end up being the best deal, best value, will be one that they get in a later round. And I'll get to that in a minute. But, the X factor, Bill, in this draft, which nobody talks about, is Rosen, the quarterback with the Arizona Cardinals. If they draft Kyler Murray, then Rosen becomes another quarterback that, oddly enough, I've talked to 2 or 3 people that I think would have a good handle on this, and I even heard it on one of the TV shows, that if you had the draft, the quarterbacks eligible for the draft this year, the top 4, and you put Rosen in that group, Rosen would be the highest rated quarterback coming out this year. Now here Arizona is going to draft a quarterback with, I will say again, I think 2 red flags, but still they're going to draft a quarterback, and they've got Rosen sitting there. Now, where he goes is going to push the whole draft, down a person here, which is not being evaluated at the present time, and also it's going to give somebody an outstanding quarterback that may be the best quarterback in this draft they may get in Rosen.
Yeah, I would agree. There's no question he's the wild card. And his remarks recently, where he said all of this speculation was annoying, is quite typical of him. He's a bit outspoken. Nice guy. I got to know him a little bit during the pre-draft process last year. I thought nice young man, studious, works hard, pretty cerebral guy. And I can see where, he'd be in virtually an untenable situation. So if the Cardinals draft Kyler Murray, they're going to have to trade Rosen. The question is, what are they going to get for him? And it would be interesting to see what that land rush looks like, because you've got people like the Redskins who badly need a quarterback. I mean, they really don't have one on their roster that they can count on. Colt McCoy is a very good smaller player. We're talking about guys with red flags being small. Colt McCoy was hurt in college, and he's been hurt now twice in the National Football League. So, he's a good quarterback, but durability is an issue. Rosen obviously becomes attractive to teams who are down below who might need a quarterback. And so we'll see what happens relative to people moving up. But when you're sitting there, let's say at 2 or 3, and you got some of these Quinn and Williams, guys that can change the game defensively, are you anxious to trade out into 15 or 16? I doubt it. So it's a bit of a dilemma. It's going to be, if you're down where the Redskins are or the Giants are at 17 and you want to come up and potentially trade for Rosen, what are they going to ask you to pay for it? Because Rosen's a great alternative if you're down there compared to what might be available. And by the way, there might be pretty good quarterbacks available down there. That's probably where they should go. But bottom line, what's it going to cost you if you want Rosen? That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting because somebody is going to sit there and end up with a heck of a good quarterback in Rosen, and may not depend. You know how the draft goes, and if they get desperate, I'm talking about Arizona, they may take less than you might feel is necessary to get Rosen.
Yeah, but I'm hearing a 1 right is what they're asking for right now. That's just rumor. But I think if we were doing it, you probably would want a 1. What the heck? You paid more than that for him, so a 1 seems to be a reasonably. They paid a 1, a 3, and a 5 to get him, to move up to get him last year. So a 1 is probably a reasonable price to ask.
Yeah, I think it's a reasonable price, but you know how that goes when you get into the draft. You get antsy. But they certainly don't need. They can't keep him and Murray. That's not gonna be a good situation either way. But
I wouldn't think so. That's correct.
Yeah, the other thing is with quarterbacks, and when you look at teams, that's going to mean the difference to me when I look at a team like Miami. Miami is sitting there. They've got nothing to lose. They're not going to be in the hunt for the Super Bowl this year. They know that. You still got to approach it like you're going to try to win every ball game, but for them to go ahead and get a quarterback, if they have one they like, to go ahead and get their quarterback would not be a bad move at this point with that first draft pick. And it could be a Rosen that falls to him. I don't know. Any number of wild scenarios could take place there. But look at what could happen down the way. To me, here's where the strength of this quarterback draft may be. What about a Jared Stidham who can throw the ball with any quarterback out there? I've watched him throw he can throw the football now. When he came out of high school, he was rated the top quarterback in the country. Went to Baylor and did a beautiful job throwing that vertical passing game there that they used at Baylor. Just didn't fit necessarily with the Auburn offense. You got Will Greer, West Virginia, who's not a bad football player, pretty good football player, can throw the football, and has got some savvy about him. Ryan Finley, a very bright guy, can make most of the throws. Maybe not quite the velocity of a Stidham or a Greer, but good quarterback. Those are guys that you may end up with a quarterback in the second or third, maybe in fourth round. You could end up with a guy who could come on and eventually be a quarterback for you.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. The only place where I would slightly disagree is that I think that all of those guys, because quarterbacks are at such a premium, are probably going to go in the second round or even the bottom of the first, because teams will be looking to come up. Once they fall, let's just say for argument's sake that Rosen is traded for a 1 to either the Dolphins or the Redskins, both of which make perfect sense. Neither team is going anywhere fast, and so to invest in a quarterback like Rosen with the 13th or 15th pick in the draft would not be out of the ordinary. In fact, it'd probably be a pretty good move, as you say. Now, that means that some of these other guys are going to be falling below that. I think you could see the quarterback run start at the bottom of the first round because there are no great receivers. All of the offensive linemen that people are talking about high, with the exception of Bradbury, the center from North Carolina State, in my mind, are risky guys. They're all right tackles, essentially, or guards. There's no left tackle in there other than the Washington State kid, and he lacks a little power. So I would think that once you get down to 20 and below, the quarterback run could start, and it could start with people trading up, from out of the second round. So, of the guys that you mentioned, Greer is the guy that interests me the most because I like the arm strength, I like his mobility, his size is good enough. It's not great, but it's good enough, and he's got a lot of gunslinger in him. He's kind of an unflappable dude now. He's in that crazy system, or was in that crazy system at West Virginia, where they really didn't play much defense. It was just give me the ball back and let's go. He's had lots of experience in shootouts, and he's developed a kind of a gunslinger mentality, which is kind of interesting. And his arm is a big-time arm. He can make all the throws. So those guys will be interesting. But then there's also, who's going to tumble? Is it going to be Drew Lock? Is it going to be the young man from Duke, Daniel Jones? I mean, who's going to tumble down there and be down at the bottom of the last third of the first round? Because I think, this is just a guess, obviously, but I think there's so much defensive talent in the defensive backfield, at linebacker and rush people that it's hard for teams to pass those guys. They're hard to find, and that's the strength of this first round for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And as you said, as we've said for many, many years, if you're going to put yourself in a position to win it all, you have to have a quarterback. You have to have somebody that can rush the passer. And when I say rush the passer, I'm talking about a dominating type player who can take over a football game by rushing the passer. And you've got to have an offensive line that can either give your quarterback a chance to stand up and throw the football and maybe run a little bit. If you got those three things, at least you're in the ball game. Now you obviously got a number of other things you want to fill in, but you got to have those three to start with. And you're going to see every draft, I think, take that look. Like you say, that's a good point. Quarterbacks start falling. They all rush to them. Let me real quickly here, Bill, go to a couple of long shots that I've got like in the draft. Andy Isabella out of the University of Massachusetts is a very interesting receiver to me. I see the very quick feet. I see a 4.31 40. See a kid who's always had the hard way to go, who's made it, catches the ball well, got good body control. May have, if he's got any fault at all, it's been inconsistent catching the football. But I think that's something you can work on. Can't work on speed and quickness. But, boy, he's like the ideal slot guy. If you like what New England does, he's your guy.
Yeah, I agree completely. He's got to work on those hands because when you're, as you know, in the slot, you're in traffic a lot, and you got to catch balls in there. You know, you got to be like Welker or New England's guy now. I mean, you have to be fearless, and so he needs to just develop those hands a little bit more. But here's what it gives you in the slot that some of the other quick but not fast guys give you. As you and I both know, when you get man coverage, you run away from man. You know, you have to put moves on guys or sit down in holes versus zone. But in man, you run away. And a guy that can run this fast in the slot, boy, that is a huge, huge advantage because the slot can be in motion before the snap, so you can't get a jam on him. And as fast as he can run, he really creates problems in there. So I agree with you. I think he's a comer.
Yeah, plus he's bright, and he's going to be a kid you can teach, how to recognize zone man, even a lot of pre-snap look advantages there, and know when to anticipate setting it down and running away, like you say. Bill, I have taken up too much of your time. I really appreciate it, and I'm going to ask you if post-draft, after the draft, if I could get you to come back on and we can discuss who did what.
I look forward to it, okay?
Hey, thanks a million. Thanks a million, right. Bill.
All right, that is Bill Polian joining us here on Talk Football with Coach K. When we come back, more sports call, or not sports call, that is coming up on Saturday, so you'll have to wait a couple of days for that. We'll have more Talk Football coming up next, right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. So many great programs, you get them confused.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Wings are now on Beef O'Brady's 2 for $20 deal. Wings?
Wings. Bigger bang, same buck. Pick a starter plus 2 entrees. Like 10 of Beef's famous wings. Still $20. 2 for $20. Worth every penny.
Tower, this is Alpha Squad. Something smells mighty good up here. Who's hungry? Over.
Beef's 2 for $20. Pick a starter and 2 entrees. Like Beef's new chicken tender Parmesan skillet. Still just $20.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
It's time for some straight talk. Picture this. Your favorite team is playing. You're streaming the game. 10 seconds left. Your team shoots. Oops, your data runs out.
Look, don't let that happen. Switch to Straight Talk Wireless and get 25 gigs of high-speed data, all on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks.
Join Team Straight Talk and get unlimited talk and text plus 25 gigs of high-speed data for just $45 a month.
Straight Talk Wireless, everything for less, only at Walmart.
First 25 gigs at high speed, then 2G. See terms at straighttalk.com. Ouch. That's his third travel of the night. Normally, I get on this guy's case for being a complete numbskull. But tonight, I'm chilling.
Stephen A., what's gotten into you?
I know. Usually, I'd be off on a rant right now, but I gotta tell you, this Vivid Seats thing has got me completely changed. Tickets are 100% authentic, and I got these great seats yesterday on the Vivid Seats app. Stress-free, you know. Wait, what are you doing? You put mayo on my hot dog? What's the matter with you?
There's the old Stephen A. we know. Vivid Seats.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also on your HD radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT, and streaming on our website, ESPNpensacola.com. Welcome back into Talk Football with Coach K. I'm Jordan Glass, joined alongside me as always, Coach K. And Coach, great to have Bill back on the program there, and just some great insight heading into the NFL draft to get started coming up Thursday night.
Well, it couldn't be better, to be honest with you. I mean, I think it's for our listeners, and by the way, which we'll be talking more about. We're going to have a podcast coming up. So he was excellent for that.
Absolutely, Coach. I tell you what, we are we're going to take a quick timeout once again because we are up against the break and had a little too much information with Bill Polian. But we'll take a quick timeout. When we come back, more Talk Football with Coach K, wrapping up today's show, coming up next on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Wings are now on Beef O'Brady's 2 for $20 deal. Wings?
Wings. Bigger bang, same buck. Pick a starter plus 2 entrees. Like 10 of Beef's famous wings, still $20. 2 for $20. Worth every penny.
Tower, this is Alpha Squad. Something smells mighty good up here. Who's hungry? Over.
Beef's 2 for $20. Pick a starter and 2 entrees. Like Beef's new chicken tender Parmesan skillet, still just $20.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Don't drop the ball this football season. Make Tom Thumb your game day destination. We are your first round pick for snacks, chips, dips, and drinks. If you're tailgating before the game, don't get blindsided. Head to Tom Thumb for all your supplies. Score big savings with our rewards card. You'll earn 4 fuel points for every $1 spent in store. From hot dogs and buns to ice and propane, Tom Thumb has you covered to help you enjoy the game. For the ultimate game day, team up with Tom Thumb, the local store for local champions.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also on your HD radio, HD2 98.7 WYCT, and streaming on our website at ESPNpensacola.com. I'm Jordan Glass, joined alongside me as always, Coach K, and welcome back into Talk Football with Coach K. We're having a lot of fun here getting you ready for the NFL Draft. And Coach, again, Bill Polian joining us on today's show. And, he kind of touched on exactly what you said, that there may be a team in the first round that, and he pointed out Washington and Miami as two particular teams that could possibly go after Josh Rosen there at Arizona.
Yeah, that's a real possibility, and I think Miami's more of a possibility, but you never know. Washington certainly could. They may feel that Rosen may be the straw they need to stir that drink right into a playoff situation. But anyway, it's going to be a very interesting, unusual draft, and the only thing that I'm a little that I disagree with slightly with Bill is I'm not sure that this year's quarterback class is one that people would take a big run at, even if it's the end of the draft.
No, you are. I think you're. I kind of tend to agree with you on that, Coach. I think more so maybe next year's class might be like that. It's going to be a top-heavy class next year, but there's also going to be some good secondary quarterbacks there in the draft class as well. Felipe Franks coming on strong at the University of Florida, more than likely will be going into the NFL next year. So, Coach, you got to look at guys like that coming up behind Jake Fromm, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert. Next year's draft class at the quarterback position seems to be a little bit more heavy than this year's.
I think so. I think in the way of production, certainly is going to be a big factor, and we'll see who makes it back to the playoff situation. The real gold mine is going to be the Clemson quarterback after the following year.
No, I think you are spot on with that, Coach. Everybody's going to be waiting and hoping that they are in a position to pick up Trevor Lawrence when he comes out of the draft. All right, Coach, that is going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. But before we leave, we wanted to thank our sponsors, those, of course, being Bob Tyler Toyota, Hill Kelly Dodge, Levin Papantonio Law Firm, Beef O'Brady's, Tom Thumb, Damien's Ice Cream, and Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Without our great, wonderful sponsors here on Talk Football, we would not be able to be here and do this show. So once again, thank you so much to each and every single one of you. Again, that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. For Coach K, I'm Jordan Glass. You guys have a great Monday. We'll talk to you again coming up tomorrow right here at noon on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Don't forget Sports Drive coming up later on this afternoon at 5 p.m. Stephen A. Smith Show coming up next right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Tell your fan friends that you've switched to Pensacola's new ESPN. ESPN Pensacola 94.5. It's where you hear Chad Berlante's Sports Drive at 5, Coach K, and Sports Call with Jordan Glass and Davis Allen. Plus all of your ESPN national faves like Gullick and Wingo and Paul Feinbaum. And if you'd like to be an ESPN sponsor or one of our promotional partners, just give us a call at 262-6000. 262-6000.
The Stephen A. Smith Show starts right now.
Welcome
to hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show, here with you over the airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News. 250-plus markets across the United States of America. Check your AM, FM dial nearest you, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by mycomputercareer.edu, training for a better life. It is my honor and privilege to have my next guest on the line with me right now. Not only is he my colleague here at ESPN, NBA analyst extraordinaire for ESPN and ABC, former star in New York City in high school, former star at St. John's University, former star in the NBA, played with the Indiana Pacers, coached the Golden State Warriors, et cetera, and now doing a great job for us on the NBA. My man, the one and only Mark Jackson, is on the line with yours truly right now. What's going on, Mark? How are you, man?
All is well, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Listen, before I even get to the NBA talk, I wanted to know your thoughts because obviously you're from Queens, New York. You played at St. John's University. You saw and read about the recent struggles, them ultimately finding a successor to Chris Mullin, who stepped down, your former teammate who stepped down as head coach of the St. John's Red Storm. And now they've got Mike Anderson in as their new coach. Your thoughts real quick about that for a second. What are your thoughts about your alma mater?
Well, I was sorry to see Chris Mullin go, the greatest player in school history. I thought he did, obviously the way he closed out, did a very good job of bringing back the team to relevancy, making it to the NCAA tournament, looking like the future was going to be headed in the right direction. But I'm glad he did what was best for him. He's a brother for life. Pray for him and his family. And Mike Anderson, I don't know him personally, even though I got a chance to talk to him a couple of days ago for the first time. Seemed like a great guy. I watched his press conference, a lot of energy, enthusiasm. So I'm looking forward to big things. And obviously I'm going to be a St. John's guy to the day I die.
What do you think is going to happen with Chris Mullin? You think he's going to end up back in NBA circles?
I'm not sure. He's a guy that's proven. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a class act. He's a guy that works extremely hard. I witnessed it firsthand as a player, dreaming to become a pro. I wish him nothing but the best, and I'm sure, he's been succeeding his entire life. I'm sure it's going to work out whatever he decides.
Mark Jackson right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Let's get right to this because you were in L.A. yesterday covering the Golden State Warriors and the Los Angeles Clippers. What did you see, or did you see anything from the Golden State Warriors in this series that should give us all cause for concern as it pertains to whether or not they're going to be able to three-peat when you consider the fact that if they handle their business like we assume they will and beat the Clippers and the Rockets do what they're doing against the Jazz, that they will be playing the Rockets next? Any cause for an elevated level of concern now compared to what we saw from Houston and Golden State last year in the Western Conference Finals?
I don't think I've seen anything, witnessed anything from the Warriors aspect that would give me concern, other than the fact that they admittedly gave a game away, which allowed them to wake up and turn it on again. You can do that against teams that you're superior to. So I would say if I was nitpicking, the one concern I would have is if you do that against the Houston Rockets in the next round, it could spell trouble. But this is a team that Doc Rivers alluded to the fact how great they are defensively. And I don't think people give them enough credit for that. And the other thing is their competitive spirit collectively. These guys know when to get after it. They respond to adversity. I look at what the Houston Rockets are doing, and that would raise my level of concern. They're a great basketball team that is tied together defensively. Chris Paul is healthy, and James Harden is playing on a whole different level offensively.
Mark Jackson, are the Houston Rockets better this year than they were last year?
Yes, which is crazy to say because early on they certainly didn't look like it. But in fairness to them, health had something to do with it. They did a great job of acquiring guys that they could trust coming off the bench. I think Austin Rivers is a guy that has toughness. He's a very good defender that can score the basketball and take pressure off of Chris Paul and James Harden at times. They're healthy and whole, and I think last year's experience only makes you better when you have valuable playing experience. So I would say they're better, even though they didn't look like it earlier, but they're healthy and whole.
If that's the case, then why do you still sound so confident when it comes to the Warriors? Does that mean you believe the Warriors are better as well, or they're just the champions that have to be knocked off and you'll have to see it to believe it, that it could happen?
Yeah, I think that's it. They're the champions that have to be knocked off. You have to see it to believe it. I'm not going to sit there and say that they're better than last year. They were tied together. They were healthy. You miss out with DeMarcus Cousins, and everybody knew that they were going to be a better basketball team when you had a top 5 center in the league when healthy and whole. But missing him can't make them better. Andrew Bogut has given them much needed depth at the center position. His high IQ, his ability to protect the rim, split action, his ability to pass the basketball is a weapon that they haven't had other than DeMarcus Cousins in the middle of that lineup. But this is a team that has incredible toughness and an incredible competitive spirit, and obviously 3 guys that can shoot the basketball as well as anybody we've seen in the history of this game.
Mark Jackson, one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, we look at Draymond Green, for example. We look at him on the Golden State Warriors, and I'm sure you were fully aware. I don't recall whether or not you were doing the game that night, but during the season when he got into it with Kevin Durant right on the bench, the visiting bench, when they had played the Clippers, a lot of people looked at that and they said, you know what, that spells the beginning of the end of the Warriors as we know it. Did you get that impression watching that? And do you have the impression now that they're well beyond that and this is just a well-oiled machine that's been waiting all year for this moment to play these games that really, really matter?
I don't think they're well beyond it, and that's with respect to them. There's still junk going on. There was junk going on admittedly by them last year, but we underestimate their competitive drive, their commitment to winning and leaving it on the floor. For some reason, they have the DNA to put aside all the garbage, all the mess, all the frustration when they get between those lines and play for one another. That's what they have that's special. Everybody goes through it. Everybody has issues. Everybody's upset with a teammate every now and then, but they have the ability to throw it away and compete at an incredibly high level. And then when it's over with, whatever they have, it still lingers. And Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson and everybody else will make a decision when free agency comes. So it's not like they don't have it, but they have the ability to step on the floor, ignore it, and be great in spite of it.
Last question on the Warriors. Do you think they should stay together? Do you think they will stay together as presently constructed?
I think you have a free agency for a reason. I do not think this team will be together next year. I don't think that the fun is as much as it's been in the past. So I think there will be a different looking team next year. And I think Kevin Durant is the guy that holds the key. And then when it comes time to free agency, if you're the Golden State Warriors, you do not mess with Klay Thompson. As soon as possible, 12:01, and I mean not 1 minute, but 1 second, you put an offer, a max deal on the table for Klay Thompson because he is absolutely essential to your success and what he's done for that franchise from day one. But Kevin Durant, outside of that, is going to be key.
Hey, Mark, am I crazy in believing that Klay Thompson should be their top priority because keeping the Splash Brothers together should be more important than keeping a player in Kevin Durant, who is obviously one of the top 3 players on the planet Earth, on your team? I actually think keeping Steph and Klay together is more important than anything specifically for the circumstances of the Golden State Warriors.
I'm not going to call you crazy. What I will say is that both of those are crucial. You have to make sure, because Klay Thompson takes, with all due respect, what he does defensively against elite point guards, where you can put him on them, have size and length, and the ability to contest shots and disrupt them. His game plan discipline defensively is one of the main reasons, if not the reason, that they're champions and considered a dynasty. And Kevin Durant, let's just say the second best player in the world, climbing the charts to be the best player in the world, you have to make sure you have them also. So if you're the Warriors, you have the luxury to be able to do both and make sure you're able to do it.
Mark Jackson right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Mark, let me transition to Russell Westbrook in Oklahoma City. What are you seeing from him? What are you seeing from them right now? They're down 3-1 to Portland. I'm seeing Damian Lillard's coming out party. I'm seeing him proving that he's a star in this league that deserves far more respect than he has been given. And I'm seeing a guy in Russell Westbrook that he's obviously mercurial. He's great as a talent, but in the same breath, can he lead this team? If he loses this series, it'll be the third straight year since Kevin Durant left that he's gone home in the first round. How should we be looking at Russell Westbrook right now?
It's disappointing what not just Russell Westbrook, but the Thunder, what they're doing. Give the Portland Trailblazers a lot of credit. They were the 3 seed back-to-back years for a reason. They're extremely well coached. They have great leadership. They have an outstanding backcourt that's as good as anybody that they face, and that's with all due respect to Curry and Thompson, who is the best. But if I'm Lillard and McCollum, I feel like I can outplay them, or we can outplay them in a 7-game series. That being said, Russell Westbrook and the Thunder have to be more disciplined as a team, individually and collectively. That's always been the concern, not being disciplined offensively or defensively, because when you get into the playoffs, there's a price to pay when you're not disciplined. They haven't been disciplined, and they find themselves in a 3-1 hole because of it. They've got to be better, and it starts with their best players, meaning Westbrook and Paul George.
Off the court, or do you, as a former coach in the league, as a present analyst of the league, do you have or take any issue, or do you think we should, with Russell Westbrook and there's no comment or next questions, when it comes to reporter, whether it's a particular reporter or anybody, just the overall persona that he walks around carrying these days?
I don't have a problem with his persona, but I do have a problem with the next question lines. If you did it once, it's cute, and you're making a point to the reporter. We've all been there. But you cannot allow that to take place. And I point to leadership, whether it's Oklahoma City leadership, GM, ownership, coaching, players, or it's NBA leadership. Somebody's got to put a stop to it and let them know that you cannot do that, because this is the reason why, as I saw you earlier, this is the reason why we're able to make $35, $40 million a year. You have to be true and be professional. It's part of the job. I understand, like I said, being frustrated one night and not answering a question and making a point if a guy did something dirty, grimy, or disrespectful. Other than that, you have a responsibility to answer the questions, answer them like a pro. You can be short and precise to somebody that you're not cool with, or somebody that's trying to attack you or kill you. We can do that. There's ways to do that. But next question, all this time later, is not how we do it in this league, and it's unprofessional, and I can't co-sign it as much as I love Russell Westbrook.
Transitioning from Russell Westbrook and Oklahoma City Thunder and Portland to Denver and San Antonio. This series is notched at 2-2. I'm at a struggle trying to decide, do I give San Antonio all the credit in the world because of how they've looked, considering that not much was expected from them as a 7th seed? Or do we look at the Denver Nuggets and say this is a young team that was down 1-0, tied the series, down 2-1, that tied the series, and look at these young guys and say they're a bigger threat than we thought they were? How should we look at this series?
Well, going in, surprisingly, I picked San Antonio to win the series. I think both teams are extremely well coached. I think Denver has done an outstanding job all season long, end the season in a 2 seed. The problem with Denver, in my opinion, why I picked San Antonio, is when you come down to playoff basketball, you need a guy that I could throw the ball to, forget about what's on the clipboard, and he's going to make a play either for himself or for others. I wasn't sure that the Denver Nuggets have that guy. Now, when they won the game, that guy has shown up, whether it's been Jamal Murray, whether it's been the Joker. They've shown up and made plays. When they've lost, they've been thoroughly outplayed. I still pick San Antonio, but give Denver a lot of credit for going into San Antonio and winning. Now the problem is you don't want to relax, because the San Antonio Spurs are more than capable to coming into your building, they've proven it, and win a game. It's going to be a great series, and I think it's far from over.
Mark Jackson, let's transition to the Eastern Conference because obviously this is more intriguing than it has been in recent memory with Milwaukee, the number one seed in the entire NBA, looking the way they've looked, with Toronto and Kawhi Leonard putting on the show, with Kyrie Irving and the boys in Boston reminding us they're not going anywhere, and with Philadelphia handling their business with a questionably healthy Joel Embiid. What have you peeled away from the Eastern Conference and watching these players? What's the number one thing you've been watching for?
Well, Milwaukee has been great, and I don't want to run away and say they're clearly the best team because they have a team on the opposite side of the floor that's cooperating. Detroit is in over their head. But the Milwaukee Bucks have looked like a complete basketball team, and you imagine getting Brogdon back and what he does to the depth, to the toughness, to the shooting ability, to the competitive spirit. They're a different basketball team. Toronto looks good. Kawhi Leonard looks incredible. I thought he was spectacular last night. And you look at the Celtics. What veteran teams do is get rid of the opposition as quick as possible. They certainly did that. They're healthy other than Marcus Smart. I think they're doing a better job of accepting their roles and playing. Gordon Hayward is playing much better, which you alluded to earlier today. It's a difference when all of a sudden I'm putting you in because you have the ability to take over games and be one of the best players, as opposed to I'm putting you in because you're my guy, what it can be perceived as the rest of the team. They're playing great basketball and clicking on all cylinders right now. With Philadelphia, you said, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying, so you agreed with me what I said earlier in the year when I talked about Gordon Hayward clearly wasn't ready, and I think Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens made a huge mistake in inserting him immediately into the starting lineup to start of the season because I think that fragmented the team to some degree, and they're just getting it back together. Is that your take?
I totally agree. I understand what Brad Stevens did in inserting him into the starting lineup, but I also understand the impact it had throughout that lineup. If I'm Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, I'm sitting there, or Marcus Smart or whoever, I'm sitting there thinking, or Terry Rozier, I'm thinking I'm better than this dude. And rightfully so, those guys were better early on in the season. Now today, right now, that's a different story because Gordon Hayward looks healthy and whole and playing much better. But he struggled early on, and there was no reason to put him in the lineup. So I understand from Brad Stevens' standpoint why he did it, playing a long play as opposed to the short play. But I also understand, being a former player, the frustration and how it can drain your spirit watching a guy that doesn't deserve to be playing over you, because you're not thinking, well, in April or May or June, it'll put us in a better position. You're thinking I'm getting jerked right now.
When you're looking at the top four teams in the East, Toronto, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Boston, and give me your top four players and in what order you want the ball in their hands in the last 3 minutes of a game. Because I think that's what the East is going to come down to, Mark Jackson.
That's a great question, and it's a tough question. I will say number one, without question, and it may be a shocker to some and maybe not to others, would be Kyrie Irving. The reason why is because I need a guy that I can put the ball in his hands, and he's proven to not be afraid of the lights, not today, but when they get brightest. Kyrie Irving has made one of the all-time great shots and plays in the history of this game when it mattered most, and we know the shot I'm talking about. So I'm going with him and his ability to play isolation, get his own shot, make plays, shoot the basketball, his complete package on the offensive end. I would probably, in my second pick, this is crazy, I'd go with Kawhi Leonard because of his ability to shoot the mid-range, get to his spot, and elevate. Use strength. Again, a finals MVP, so I would go with him. The third guy I would go with, obviously, would be the Greek Freak. Antetokounmpo, the things he does offensively, the way you cannot contain him one-on-one, his strength, his size, his length. Not the only concern is his ability to shoot, but he gets to his spots. Wherever he wants on the floor, he puts pressure on your defense, so he would be the third guy. And then the fourth guy would be Joel Embiid. But I don't like how they don't take advantage of the matchup that they should. You look at the game they just won against the Nets. It turned when Jared Dudley goes out of the game, Jimmy Butler goes out of the game, and all of a sudden they force feed Joel Embiid. You have to have the mentality, and I'm making sure I'm putting my best player in the best position to take over this series. And that's what they did. He got angry. He posted up, demanded double teams, made plays. If they didn't double, he took advantage and scored. So he's the guy that's a complete package on the offensive end. I don't mind him shooting threes, but there has to be a steady diet of posting him up saying basically, you can't guard him. There's nothing you can do about it.
Couple of more questions before I let you get on out of here, Mark Jackson. Number one, you're enjoying your job. There's no question about it. I'm not enjoying the fact that you're still not being interviewed as a head coaching candidate for an NBA team. Is that on your mind at all? Do you even think about it, or are you so happy at your job it doesn't matter? What's the situation with Mark Jackson these days?
I'm a guy with tremendous trust and faith. That's what's mine is mine. I look forward to one day coaching in the NBA or coaching again. I really embraced it. I enjoyed it. It was a time of my life. I'm totally at peace with the platform that ESPN, ABC has given me. I'm having a time of my life working with Jeff Van Gundy and Mike Green. Those guys are incredible. But I look forward to coaching one day. And I'm not frustrated because somebody will pull the trigger and make the right decision and decide that I should be their next head coach. I'm totally at peace with where I am. I'm excited about what the future holds. But I trust God and know that it'll all work out.
But Mark, but as a coach, do you have a preference? And I don't mean that, I'm not going to put you on the spot about a team. That's not where I'm going. I'm saying some guys, you get these teams, you got to rebuild them from scratch, which is what you did in Golden State, okay? And they do it that way. Other guys get to inherit a team with a superstar, at least one of them, already on the squad, and they go from there. What kind of situation is ideal for Mark Jackson to coach against someday?
It's ideal to just be in a suit and tie, inspiring guys and put them in position to win. I don't think I would minimize myself to a guy that is a guy that would take a team and build something and minimize myself to that. If you give me a team that's already ready to win, well, we're going to win. And if you have to build it, well, we'll build it, and then ultimately we win. I just need the opportunity, and it's proven that it will take place. I was given the opportunity. I capitalized on it. I enjoyed it, and it ran its course. I'm excited and look forward to the next opportunity. But it doesn't matter either way. We've seen great coaches respond in both situations.
My last question to you involves Draymond Green, a player that you drafted, has a lot of love for you, still expresses a lot of love for you. I'm interested in knowing what you think the future holds for him, because anytime we talk about change that ultimately may come to Golden State, his name comes up. Obviously, he signed with Rich Paul and Clutch Sports. That's who's representing him now. The belief is that ultimately he's going to be in line to get some money. If not from Golden State, he'll end somewhere else. What is the ideal situation for Draymond Green? What is it about him that we're missing that we don't appreciate enough? Because clearly he ain't Steph, Clay, or Kevin Durant.
Well, with all due respect, he's not those guys. But part of what makes him great is he understands that. And he understands how he's going to be able to impact the game and put his team in position to win. He's an incredible leader. He's an incredible competitor. He has an incredible mind for the game. His IQ is off the charts. And if I'm Draymond Green, what I'd point to is don't worry about it. He's going to get his money, and he's going to continue to play great, whether it's in Golden State or somewhere else. Go back to when you was drafted, when you had a piece of paper in front of you that said either sign I believe a 3-year deal or a 4-year deal. You bet on yourself. You're winning right now. Nobody's going to put a piece of paper in front of you and say, well, maybe you could sign it, or maybe we like you, or maybe you could play, or maybe you can be an impactful guy. It's proven. So the pressure's off. Now continue to enjoy yourself, continue to impact games, and continue to be great. But he's a guy that if they don't have him in Golden State, they're not where they are. He's a valuable piece to the puzzle and what he brings, especially, admittedly so, when he's in the best shape he could possibly be in. I thought he struggled early on because physically he wasn't in condition. Part of that was due to health. Part of it is because he was overweight. But he's a guy, when he buys in and locked in, he just disrupts everything the opposition attempts to do.
Mark Jackson, appreciate your time as always, buddy. I'll see you down the road during the playoffs, man. You'll see me. Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks for having me, man. Keep up the awesome work.
All right, my man. The one and only Mark Jackson, colleague here at ESPN. NBA analyst extraordinaire for the NBA on ESPN and ABC. My buddy, the one and only Mark Jackson, right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News, 888-SAY-ESPN is always the number to call up. That's 888-729-3776. Back to your calls and more in a minute on anything that Mark Jackson had to say about these playoffs, on the Kate Smith situation going on in Philadelphia and beyond, and then some. Stick around, don't touch that dial. It's Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, when you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes. You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screening questions based on your job requirements, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed.
This show and all of ESPN is streaming live on the ESPN app. Now with ESPN Plus, where you get more ESPN. Download the ESPN app today and take ESPN everywhere.
Technology Truths, brought to you by Geico.
Technology Truths.
Truth, you think you can solve any problem by turning your computer off and on.
Hey man, is something wrong with your laptop?
Nah, just need to turn it off and on. It's no problem.
It's smoking.
Yeah, that just means it needs to reboot.
Truth, it's so easy to switch and save on car insurance at Geico.com.
And now it's on fire.
Happens all the time. It's all good.
Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
The Home Depot is making finding your color and choosing the right paint easier than ever. With curated palettes of this year's most popular colors and new paint selection tools online and in-store, you can confidently select your color and the tools for your next paint project. Now get a colorful new experience with the Home Depot's paint expertise and selection of top quality brands, colors, and finishes. Get your paint project done right with gallons of Behr Premium Plus for $27.98 at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. U.S. only. See store for details.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5. I'm Jordan Glass with your Pensacola Sports Update. For your UWF Argos, unfortunately, softball is swept in their doubleheader on the road in Huntsville over the weekend, losing Game 1 10-2 and falling in Game 2 9-1. For baseball, they actually split their doubleheader against Alabama Huntsville over the weekend, winning Game 2 11-4, but falling in Game 1 by a final of 7-6. Coming up next, well, baseball will be back in action coming up on Tuesday, April 23rd. They'll be at home at Jim Spooner Field taking on Spring Hill College. For softball, they'll actually be on the road in Tallahassee as part of tournament play. They'll be taking on Florida Southern. Again, that is going to get started on Thursday, April 25th. For your Pensacola Blue Wahoos, they are victorious on Sunday afternoon over the Mobile Bay Bears by a final score of 8-5. You can catch them coming up later on tonight. Chris Garagiola will have the call right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. I'm Jordan Glass with your Pensacola Sports Update.
Nothing is more important than protecting your family and property. That's why you should make a free call right now to Vivint, the #1 smart home services provider in the U.S. Vivint will make your home safer and more secure with a state-of-the-art system that's so simple to use. Vivint smart home specialists provide award-winning monitoring of your system 24/7, 365 to respond to any emergency, even when you can't. And with the 4.5-star rated Vivint smart home mobile app, control your entire house from anywhere. Locks, cameras, security system, all at your fingertips on your mobile device. Call Vivint now and get a free quote, professional installation, and full smart home service for as little as $2 per day. Equipment purchase or service agreement required. Conditions apply. Call now. A smart home is a safer home. So protect your family and your property, home or business, with a Vivint smart home system.
Call 800-510-7517. That's 800-510-7517. Call now, 800-510-7517.
Join Harley-Davidson of Pensacola Thursday night for Heroes Among Us Bike Night. Live music from ADD. Harley's Angels serving up free beer, free dogs and burgers on the grill, and don't miss swag bags for the kids. And don't forget to get your tickets for Hogfest 2019, happening Saturday, April 27th. Tickets available at the dealership. Get yours today. Follow all the happenings and upcoming events at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola on Facebook. Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Let's ride.
Pros know getting the next job means doing this one right, on time and on budget. Lowe's is here to help by stocking the brands you trust to power through any job, like Hitachi Power Tools, soon to be known as Metabo HPT. Same tools, same warranty, new name. We also stock the quantities of the supplies you use most. Buy in bulk and get additional savings on fence pickets, posts, and concrete every day. For your next job and every job after, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. See ProDesk for details.
Hey, Chad here from the Sports Drive. Exciting time to be a fan. NFL draft around the corner, spring games in college football, NBA and NHL playoffs. Wahoos continue to win, and Tiger Woods has done it again. Another green jacket. This is what he had to say.
How I could be so selfish and so foolish. How I could have done these things to my wife, Elin.
Oh, here's the audio.
To me and my family, this tournament, to have everyone here, it's something I'll never, ever forget.
Sports Drive 5 to 7 on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
On sale now.
As soon as we're back out in our yard, yep, we get company.
Dandelions, lurking crabgrass, and wheat-thin grass. But Scott's Turf Builder Triple Action takes care of them all. Now, with one bag, you can kill weeds, prevent crabgrass for up to 4 months, and feed for greener grass. Triple Action, so your lawn thrives, guaranteed. Only from Scott's.
Weeds aren't welcome here.
This is a Scott's Yard. Pick up a bag of Scott's Triple Action today.
Hottest in the game, ain't nothing to it, world class, I'm a gutter butter us.
Now that Human Resources Director Fernando Pino has Kronos for HR, payroll, talent, and time, he's completely crushing it. He even has his own hype song.
Hottest in the game, ain't nothing to it, world class, I am.
Supporting our entire workforce. Everyone has different hours, skill sets, and pay grades.
I'm on the top, I'm gonna rise up. I'm on the top, I'm gonna rise up. Now we are
Motivating and engaging our people every step of the way.
rise up to the front of the field. This is
Kronos, HR solutions for the modern workforce and the people who support them. Learn more at kronos.com/HR swagger.
I'm on the top, I'm gonna rise up. I'm on the top, I'm gonna rise up. I'm on the top.
If you own a pair of Skechers, this ad is not for you because you already know they're the most comfortable shoes on the planet. This ad is for those who have never tried Skechers, for the few who have never experienced the otherworldly comfort of Skechers air-cooled memory foam, ever floated across the ground on comfort pods, or experienced Skechers seamless knits. You're missing out. That's like never petting a puppy. So we've made this ad for you. Skechers. Live comfortably. Available at a Skechers store near you or wherever stylish shoes are sold.
Well, you can catch Talk Football with Coach K every Monday through Friday from noon to 1 right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Need seats to a game? Download the Vivid Seats app and enter promo code CHAMPS at checkout to get 10% off your first order. Don't buy just any seat. Get a Vivid seat. Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News, 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. I am in Florida today giving a speech at Lynn University in Boca Raton, Florida. So that is why I'm here. You know why, because Stevie A love the kids. He sure does. He sure does. Let's get back to the phones at 888-SAY-ESPN. Let's go to Dan. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Dan? How are you?
Hi, Stephen A. I'd like to say that before when LeBron went to the West, I would take the Celtics to come out of the East. I would take the Celtics and Warriors. What do you think?
Well, I was with the Celtics all season long. I haven't jumped off the bandwagon, but I will tell you they've made me nervous because Milwaukee is incredibly formidable as well as Toronto. Most people would tell you that Toronto and Milwaukee are the two best teams in the Eastern Conference this year. But you can't discount Boston because you know how talented they are. And because they're so talented, you simply can't ignore it. And what you have to do is look at the Boston Celtics, particularly the way they shot the ball against Indiana in the first round. Kyrie Irving shoot 42% from three-point range. Okay? Jaylen Brown, same number, 42.9% from three-point range. Gordon Hayward, 44%. Jason Tatum, 53%. Marcus Morris, 35% rather. So they're hitting threes. And I believe if the Boston Celtics are hitting threes, they can beat anybody. Because I think that ultimately the perimeter shooting will propel Boston to be in every game for the last 3 minutes. And then is when you give the ball to Kyrie. And I think if Kyrie has the ball in those last few minutes, special things happen. That's just my belief. Appreciate the call. Let's go to Eric. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
What's up, Stephen A.?
I'm all right.
I just like to remind everybody of an old saying that might be appropriate these days, and that saying is, for those who forget the past, they are destined to repeat it. And I'd like to know if everybody knows where that saying came from.
Well, I don't know if everybody can answer that because you ain't talking to everybody. So go ahead and tell everybody where it came from.
Okay, that saying was over a real famous or infamous man named Jim Jones from the Jonestown Massacre. And another saying came out, these people were the ones who drank the Kool-Aid. I understand how people get offended by the past and by things that great people or not so great people did in the past. But if you want to erase the past, then you're running the risk of repeating it again in the future. The reason why we let things happen there is so it's a constant reminder of just how bad things were back then, so that we don't repeat them.
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
May I ask you a question, Eric? Let me ask you this question. It's one thing to remember and reflect on the past, but isn't that different than celebrating it?
Than celebrating it, yes. But celebration.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because I think that's what you have. I think that's what people have a problem with. It's not like people don't want to know about Kate Smith and don't want to know what she did or anything like that. It's the notion that it warrants a celebration. You know, that the Flyers would treat her in such a deified manner, erecting a statue of her outside, in Philadelphia. Stuff like that. I think that's what people are talking about, which is why the Flyers removed the statue of her from outside the arena.
Okay, but when people celebrate, it also says a lot about the people who are celebrating it, and that also can be a learning experience, too. Look at who's celebrating those ideals. Learn from that, and then recognize it in the future if those ideals surface again.
Okay. All right. I understand. I appreciate the call, Eric. Thank you so much. Let's go to Freddie. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Freddie?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing, my man?
I'm all right. Go ahead, bro.
Okay, yeah. I want to talk about the Warriors, right? As far as Kevin Durant, if he leave and the Warriors get like another championship, I'll be satisfied, It's like, say for instance, it's like you being with a girl, right? And y'all been doing your thing for a while, and she decides to leave. It's like, okay, go ahead. I'm happy.
No, well, first of all, you're lying. That's a horrible analogy. Because if you have a relationship, speaking as a man, if you have a relationship with a woman and she is making you happy, you don't feel like it's all right if she leaves. There's a whole bunch of broken hearts walking around in this world out here by men and women. Because why would your heart be broken if you aren't happy? If you aren't happy and you depart from somebody, why would you not be okay? You're happy because guess what? You weren't happy anyway when you were with them. But if you were ecstatic when you were with them, if you were in bliss when you were with them, if you were in love when you were with them and happy, hell no, you don't want that to end. That's the kind of stuff. I mean, the world is filled with individuals who passed away or relegated themselves to a life of misery due to a broken heart now.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
But, no,
Yeah.
I got you. And then also,
Go ahead, make your last point. Go ahead.
Okay, with K. Smith, it seems like I'm not trying to get on your boy Will Kane, but it seems like he always trying to make an excuse for the racist behavior.
Okay. Well, you can say that. I don't view it that way. It depends on it. You know, there are times when Will and I butted heads because I've gotten the impression about a particular instance in question. But for the most part, I don't find that to be the case with him, A. And B, and more importantly, listen, why are we worried about the messenger? What about the message? The man asked a question. Why don't you give me an answer to that, Freddie? If you want Kate Smith's statue removed, and you don't want her rendition of God Bless America played at games, what do you do with the George Washingtons and the Ben Franklins who were slave owners? What do you do about a Lyndon B. Johnson who used the N-word all the time and used it in talking about Thurgood Marshall as the first black that was going to be put on the Supreme Court? What do you do if you want to eradicate history or omit yourself from history in that regard as it pertains to the Kate Smiths of the world? What about others who ask, what do you do about all the others who engaged in heinous racist rhetoric and beyond, who have been celebrated in American history? What do you do with them? How about answering that question instead of attacking the messenger? Let's focus on the message.
Okay, look, that wasn't the question, right? The question was about K. Smith. Now, at the time when the questions come about,
no, that was my question. That was my question when I asked it at the beginning of the show. I specifically asked that question at the beginning of the show. That's what I thought you was calling about.
Okay, yeah, but all of it was wrong.
Go ahead.
I mean, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. All of it was wrong. But you take care, though, baby. Have a good day. Okay.
All right, you do the same, man. No problem. Take it easy. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Back with your calls to close out the show in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, Golick and Wingo on the road, presented by Progressive Insurance. We'll be live this Thursday and Friday from Nashville, Tennessee, for the NFL Draft. Commercial insurance through Progressive protects your business and your dream. Choose from over 30 coverage options at progressivecommercial.com.
Your radio, your computer, your phone. Or just tell your smart speaker to play ESPN Radio.
Now playing ESPN Radio.
Take ESPN everywhere.
Need game tickets? Find your seats at Vivid Seats.
This is Stacy on her motorcycle.
What an incredible view!
And this is Stacy off her motorcycle.
Does this have sucralose in it?
On her motorcycle.
Oh, the wind in my hair!
Off her motorcycle.
It's pronounced et cetera, not etc.
On.
Woohoo! Yes!
Off.
No.
You're better on your bike. And with basic policy starting at $75 a year, quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Annual premium for basic liability policy not available in all states.
Is the car you're driving 2012 or newer? If so, here's something you need to know. Today's newer engines run hotter, making them more vulnerable to carbon buildup, which could affect engine performance. Protect your engine with new Valvoline Modern Engine Full Synthetic, specially formulated to protect cars built 2012 or newer from carbon buildup. Learn more at modernoil.com. Valvoline since 1866. Visit AutoZone now. Buy 5 quarts of Valvoline Modern Engine Full Synthetic and an oil filter for $33.99. See store for restrictions and details.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5. I'm Jordan Glass with your Pensacola Sports Update. For your UWF Argos, unfortunately, softball is swept in their doubleheader on the road in Huntsville over the weekend, losing Game 1 10-2 and falling in Game 2 9-1. For baseball, they actually split their doubleheader against Alabama Huntsville over the weekend, winning Game 2 11-4, but falling in Game 1 by a final of 7-6. Coming up next, well, baseball will be back in action coming up on Tuesday, April 23rd. They'll be at home at Jim Spooner Field taking on Spring Hill College. For softball, they'll actually be on the road in Tallahassee as part of tournament play. They'll be taking on Florida Southern. Again, that is going to get started on Thursday, April 25th. For your Pensacola Blue Wahoos, they are victorious on Sunday afternoon over the Mobile Bay Bears by a final score of 8-5. You can catch them coming up later on tonight. Chris Garagiola will have the call right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. I'm Jordan Glass with your Pensacola Sports Update.
I was facing foreclosure. I was desperate for help.
I paid them $1,500 and never got the help they promised.
Don't let the fear of losing your home make you the victim of a loan modification scam. Remember these facts to protect yourself. It's illegal for most companies to charge fees in advance, no matter how small. No company can guarantee they can modify your loan or stop a foreclosure. And never send your mortgage payment to anyone but your lender. The easiest way to avoid a scam? Don't pay for a loan modification. Get free help from a HUD-approved counseling agency now. To learn more, report a scam, or find out if you've been a victim, call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit loanscamalert.org. That's 1-888-995-4673 and loanscamalert.org.
Know the signs. Get the facts.
I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Buying a home should be one of life's best experiences, but today's fluctuating interest rates can leave you with unexpected higher payments, and that can turn a great experience into an anxious one. At Quicken Loans, we've created a new way to protect you from unpredictable interest rates. It's called the Power Buying Process. We check your income, assets, and credit to provide you with a verified approval, which can give you the strength of a cash buyer. Once verified, you qualify for our exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, we lock your interest rate for up to 90 days while you find your new home. Then, once you've found your new home, if rates have gone up, your rate stays locked. But if rates have gone down, your rate drops, and you get to keep that new lower rate. Either way, you win. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply.
There are a lot of kids in this country who didn't have a parent at their baseball games or recitals because their parents were serving in faraway places. But now their parents are coming home from battle. Some with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Every day, Wounded Warrior Project assists wounded warriors and their families with the Warriors to Work program, a program that helps warriors translate their military experience to civilian job experience, and they help employers find the right warrior for the right job.
My mom used to be a tank programmer. Now she works with computers. I'm really glad she's home because I can't eat my dad's marshmallow macaroni anymore.
I was 2 when my dad went away to war. He was there for 3 of my birthdays. Now he's home and he's a logistics specialist.
If you're looking for proven professionals, contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
ESPN Pensacola has you covered from the national and local levels. From Golic and Wingo to the Sports Drive, the Paul Feinbaum Show to Talk Football with Coach K, we have it all. It's the latest and best in sports talk radio, making us Pensacola's hometown sports network. ESPN Pensacola 945, also on HD Radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT, and streaming online at our website at ESPNpensacola.com.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
Some might argue that the hamburger is the perfect food. Great for any occasion, you don't need utensils, and good almost any time of the day or night. And Denny's 100% beef burger lineup features bold flavors and fresh ingredients, like the spicy sriracha burger and the bourbon bacon burger, which are both perfectly delicious. Perhaps the Denny's burger is one of the world's most perfect foods. Stop by and decide for yourself. See you at Denny's. Price and participation may vary. Limited time only.
And on the ESPN app.
Hi, this is Devin Smeltzer, left-handed pitcher of the Blue Wahoos, and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
If you missed any of today's show, go check it out on demand in the Stephen A. Smith Podcast, brought to you by the Capital One Saver Card. Earn 4% cash back on dining and entertainment, 2% at grocery stores, and 1% on all other purchases. Hey, what's in your wallet? Let's go to Tyler. You're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Tyler, go ahead.
Yes. Hello?
Tyler,
Hello?
You better get on this phone right now and get off that speakerphone.
Right here.
Come on, you're on the air.
Here. Oh, God bless
Go
you,
ahead.
Stephen A. You're a bad man. Look, I used to be a soldier in the military. I represented the United States Army. And the way I feel about this, with all the remarks that have been made or whatever she may have said, I really didn't hear what she had said. But, it's consequences and repercussions for everything that everybody does, and we need to be accountable for them. And we need to stand accountable for the actions that we make and the choices that we make. Now, she choose to make that comment or whatever she had may said, and they're removing
listen, like I said, I appreciate the call, but I'm going to interrupt you for the moment. Call back tomorrow when you're a little more informed about it, because she was singing a rendition, God Bless America. She had racist lyrics and songs dating back to the 1930s. It wasn't anything that she particularly said. It was in her music, but we'll talk about that at a later date. I appreciate the call, Tyler. Thank you so much. Brody, real quick, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
How's it going, Stephen A? I just wanted to touch on the...
I'm all right. You only got a minute. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just feel like when you look at when Will tries to contextualize how to address Kate Smith's situation from a place of standard, when you look at the other sort of historical people in our society who have, really perpetuated systems of oppression, I feel like you can't really look at it from a standard of, well, we didn't really revoke anything that anyone else has done that has been, oppressive. Why this person? I think we have to start somewhere, right? Because, in order to really start to move the needle in social justice, we have to start to make and set precedences for the wrongdoings that people do in our society. What do you say to that?
I got you. No, that makes sense. Appreciate the call. That makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you for the call. Chris, you're live with Stephen A. Good meeting you yesterday, buddy. Go ahead real quick. You only got a minute. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good meeting you as well, Stephen A. Real quick, I don't like what I'm seeing from Russell Westbrook against Dame Lillard. I feel like Stephen A. personally, just from on the outside looking at it, I don't think he's accepting this Lillard challenge. And Stephen A., I'm going to go out on a limb right here. I think that Houston will not be Golden State's biggest threat. I believe it'll be Portland. I think Portland's length is much more what will bother Golden State much more than what Houston will present. Because you look at Houston's front line with P.J. Tucker and and you have obviously Chris Paul, you have James Harden. Those guys aren't going to bother Golden State like the length of Portland one.
P.J. Tucker, Kenneth Faried, Clint Capella. Yep, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So I think that Portland, the way Lillard and McCollum are playing right now, I think they pose the biggest threat in the West against Golden State rather than Houston does. I don't think the way James Harden plays is not sustainable to beat Golden State 4 times. I know I'm running out of time today. I just wanted to get that out there. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. I'm not sure about that. I just think that Houston is the biggest threat. I think that Harden is a juggernaut. I think Chris Paul's floor generalship comes in handy, particularly against Golden State. He elevates his play to another level. And I think with Chris Paul on that roster with James Harden, I definitely think that Houston's more formidable than Portland. But I'm not going to sleep on Lillard and C.J. McCollum, because when they're making shots, all bets are off. I'll be back in 22 hours. Until then, peace and love, everybody.
Hey, what's up? It's Will Kane. Coming up right after Stephen A. Smith, join us on The Will Kane Show, live on ESPN Radio, Sirius XM Channel 80, and ESPN News.
Looking to build a deck? Think Trex is out of your price range? Well, now you should take a second look at the #1 name in outdoor living, because the latest decking from Trex is engineered for the DIYer and priced to put the pressure on treated lumber. Plus, it comes with a 25-year fade and stain warranty, and that's something wood can't promise. So if you want to bring the superior performance and durability of Trex to your backyard, visit Trex.com for deck plans and to order samples.
The weather's heating up, which means it's the perfect time to get that brake job done. At AutoZone, we have everything you need to do it right. Replacing your brake pads? It might be time to replace your rotors, too. Our Duralast Brake Bundle has the proven tough Duralast pads and rotors you need to do the complete job, starting at only $99.99 and sold only at AutoZone. Getting the job done just got easier. Let us help you at more than 5,600 locations nationwide. See store for restrictions and details.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Nothing is more important than protecting your family and property. That's why you should make a free call right now to Vivint, the #1 smart home services provider in the U.S. Vivint will make your home safer and more secure with a state-of-the-art system that's so simple to use. Vivint smart home specialists provide award-winning monitoring of your system 24/7, 365 to respond to any emergency, even when you can't. And with the 4.5-star rated Vivint smart home mobile app, control your entire house from anywhere. Locks, cameras, security system, all at your fingertips on your mobile device. Call Vivint now and get a free quote, professional installation, and full smart home service for as little as $2 per day. Equipment purchase or service agreement required. Conditions apply. Call now. A smart home is a safer home. So protect your family and your property, home or business, with a Vivint smart home system.
Call 800-510-7517. That's 800-510-7517. Call now, 800-510-7517.
Anyone who has ever needed self-storage knows what a hassle it can be. You have to rent or borrow a truck and then find someone to help you move your stuff. And let's face it, moving furniture and heavy items without damaging them isn't easy. Renting the unit is worse. The hidden fees and admin costs are scarier than the dingy facilities you're leaving your stuff in. Why not use ClosetBox instead? ClosetBox is self-storage without leaving home. They'll pick up your belongings, store them securely, and bring any item back when you need it. The best part? Unlike traditional self-storage, you only pay for what you store. No paying for unused storage space. ClosetBox's background check storage movers are licensed, bonded, and insured and will take care of all of the heavy lifting. ClosetBox's local storage centers are temperature controlled and monitored 24/7. ClosetBox has an A+ rating from the BBB. Call 877-233-5696 now for the season's best rates. Get $50 off first month storage using code RADIO50. That's 877-233-5696. 877-233-5696.
Hi, I'm Matt Kenseth. You don't have to be a race car driver to know that life can be full of drama. Some of it you can't control, like mechanical issues, high winds, and rain delays. But there's some drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
You just need to take that first step and find free classes near you and leave the drama for the racetrack.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
Want to know what I like best about high school sports? I love watching my son run on the field. I love the fact that since he's been playing high school sports, he's making better decisions. And I love knowing that with the proper equipment, education, conditioning, and coaching, high school sports here in Florida are safer than ever before. And that's something I really love.
This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
ESPN Radio is taking over ESPN News. You can now watch your favorite radio shows all in one place. From Golic and Wingo.
Oh, yeah.
To the Dan Levitard Show with Stugotz.
All right, I'm available every day, thanks.
To the Stephen A. Smith Show.
I just don't understand this guy.
To the Will Kane Show.
It's my job to tell the truth.
From morning to night, the best of ESPN Radio is now available on ESPN News.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh! Dilly dilly!
Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
What if people had a battery level icon? Like on your phone? You'd see a lot of us in need of a recharge. Thank goodness there's 5-Hour Energy.
Because just one sugar-free, vitamin-packed 5-hour energy shot can get you all the way back to 100% fast. And isn't life better at 100%? 5-Hour Energy. Get back to 100%. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com.
Tell your fan friends that you've switched to Pensacola's new ESPN, ESPN Pensacola 94.5. It's where you hear Chad Berlante's Sports Drive at 5, Coach K, and Sports Call with Jordan Glass and Davis Allen. Plus all of your ESPN national faves like Gullick and Wingo and Paul Feinbaum. And if you'd like to be an ESPN sponsor or one of our promotional partners, just give us a call at 262-6000. 262-6000.
All sports, all the time. ESPN Pensacola, 94.5 WYCT Pensacola.
All them dogs are counting down, about to put the anchor down. Hotty toddy, who's it gonna be? Cowbells and swamp, the Aggies wrong. There's nothing like the SEC. The weekend's full of surprise. Hit 'em with the flex. From Williams Spice to Death Valley. On the Fine Mom Show, Paul's on the roll. If he don't get the best of me, call Paul.
Alabama. It's your show. Go ahead. You got a damn burn crappy attitude.
Let me talk, Danny. Okay, go.
I really don't know where to go after that.
Don't take those calls.
I could give you my address and phone number if you're ever in this neck of the woods.
In my life, I've never had a phone call like that.
Welcome into the Paul Feinbaum Show. I'm Brad Edwards, sitting in for Paul today. It is an audio-only version of the Feinbaum Show today, so no TV. If you are in the habit of listening online or listening on the radio and then getting home from work, turning on the TV, you will not find the show there later on today because we are audio only, but that's all right. By the way, why is it always audio only when I host? I'm still trying to figure that out. John Hayes, I don't know if you have any feedback for me. I mean, it can't be a looks thing because Marty and McGee have a show on SEC Network, so I know I'm not too ugly to be on TV. But for whatever reason, it's always audio only when I'm hosting. But we'll still have a great show for you today. We have several topics to get to, several guests to get to. We are going to attempt to talk a lot of college football here today on the show. I know that's generally the thing, but we just finished up the final SEC spring game with Georgia having played on Saturday, and now we can kind of look ahead as we're basically 4 months away. I know that still sounds like a really long time, and it is, but it's a lot closer than we were just a few months ago, right? So 4 months away from the start of the season. Some of the takeaways from the spring, we're going to talk to Seth Emerson in a little bit about Georgia. We're going to talk to Matt Baker about the Florida Gators. We're going to talk a little ACC with Andrea Adelson. Bill Bender is going to come on later on. We're going to talk about the Big Ten. And then Barrett Sallee will join us later in the show to talk some SEC, of course. And so that's kind of what we got on the slate for you as we move ahead here on a Monday in the latter portion of April. So last week, if you were watching the show, Seth Walder, our analytics guy who is in my group here at ESPN, he was on with Paul to talk about the newest release of FPI, the Football Power Index, and some of the SEC teams that were kind of in the mix for a chance to make the playoff and stuff like that, and certainly a lot of interest in that. In fact, actually, while we're on the topic, I might as well throw out that we tweeted out earlier, now that spring football is over, what is your biggest takeaway heading into this summer? And Jerome replied that Alabama and Clemson are still the two best teams. And a lot of people agreed with him, and FPI agrees with him that Clemson and Alabama, by far, the most likely teams to make the playoff, but that doesn't mean they're the only two. Obviously, it's a 4-team playoff. And so Seth went through some of that with Paul last week. There are more numbers, however, within the SEC that Seth didn't get into. I'm going to throw some of those out now. We can talk about them later in the show if you want to call in, and this is all for fun discussion. So if you disagree, go right ahead, except these are not my rankings. So if you want to argue with the computer, we'll be that'll make for good radio, right? All right, so SEC 2019, FPI says chance to get at least one team in the playoff, 98%. So pretty much a lock. The SEC is going to get at least one team in. Chance for two teams in the playoff, 60%. That feels a little high to me, given that there's only been 1 year that we've had a conference put two teams in the playoff, but it was the SEC, and it was only 2 years ago. Almost happened again last year, so maybe that's not off base. 60% chance for the SEC to get two teams in the playoff. By the way, FPI also says 58% for the Big Ten to get one team in. So chance for the SEC to get two is pretty much the same as the chance for the Big Ten to get one. A chance to win the SEC title. Alabama 47%, Georgia 27%, LSU 11% is third most likely, then going down to Florida at 6%, and then Auburn and A&M at 2% each. Chance to win the SEC East. Georgia, no surprise, the favorite, heavy favorite, 63%, Florida 21%, Tennessee checking in as the third most likely at 8%, which obviously is not all that likely, but FBI saying there's a chance for the Vols. Chance to win the SEC West, Alabama, huge favorite, much like Georgia, 65%. LSU is the number two pick there by FPI, 21% chance to win the West, and then you've got A&M and Auburn coming in at 5% each, and then Mississippi State at 4%. And I'll ask this question later on in the show, but I think it's an